Shedding Productions presents an audiobook written and read by Charlie Emmett. Joan Collins, The Bitch. Before we start this whimsical event that, let's face it, never happened, and to be fair, none of these short stories ever happened, at all, ever, I must point out, for legal reasons, me calling Joan Collins a bitch isn't slanderous in any way, shape or form, legally. Joan starred in a 1979 film called The Bitch, and I'm sure there were many a meeting about the title, and I assume she was okay about being called a bitch. Sorry, I seem to be saying bitch a lot. I must add that her sister Jackie Collins wrote the book The Bitch. Again, actually, I'm uncomfortable saying, well, you know. So in essence, legally, it has nothing to do with me. I'm literally just quoting, not accusing. Chapter 1. Job done. Decorating this posh gaff, by posh calf, I mean large stately home stroke massive house located somewhere in the Cotswolds, was a blessing. I needed the cash, and it was cash in hand. These lord types don't mess about. Also, it made a change from working in council blocks where you do get spat at. You're actually doing well if it's just spit. I'll pause there while you figure that out. Yes, exactly. Anyway, job done. End of the day, need paying. I always bring some clean clothes I can change into so I don't get paint all over my van. Everything is packed up, I'm clean as a whistle, which is a strange saying considering the years of spittle caked inside whistles. The Lord, whoever he is, says,
"Job well done."
He hands me quite the wedge of cash. Me being far too honest and a shit businessman objects to the amount of cash. Lord Fat Red Cheeks clasps his hands around the cash with his surprisingly cold rough hands, and is having none of it. He then says,
"In fact, stay, drink, bite to eat, mingle with the celebrities, party, just getting going."
To be honest, he didn't speak in full sentences, and I sort of listened with my head tilted to one side, squinting and trying to nod in the right place. I presume years of good food and little exercise has rendered his lung capacity near to critical level. Take a deep breath. I certainly couldn't risk his life by asking him to repeat what he said. I heard,
"Drink, eat, celebs."
No one, I repeat, no one is going to turn that down. Chapter 2. The Party. 30 minutes in and 2 glasses of overly fizzy white vinegar and some small food that looks like cakes but actually tasted of burnt fish, and a large funny smelling room was filling up. Could do with decorating, I thought, with my eyes. I was hoping no one asked me my name or who I was. Contractor would sound like I shouldn't be there, which I shouldn't. I couldn't say Charlie out loud without causing a suspicious silence, so I thought I'd just say Charles. Yes, Charles. Not that anybody had asked. I can't say I've seen many celebrities, or any that I knew. Pretty sure there was a regional news person, no idea of name or gender. Can I say that? I think I saw a couple of people off Cats Do Countdown thing. Again, no idea of the names. I don't watch TV. I've no attention. This room really needs a lick of paint. I meandered, unnoticed, into a smaller room, dimly lit, with a smog-like cloud of smoke lingering just above head height. On the right, Carol Vorderman was chatting to Anthea Turner. They looked sheepish, as though hiding the contents of their conversation from prying ears. Ears? Can you have prying ears? You can have prying eyes, can't you? Anthea looked like she had brought up a bit of sick and had to swallow it. You know the face. Carol looked like she was humorously surprised, but I think she's had so much work done, she always looks like that. Shame. On the left, and I did need to look twice, but it was, you ready for this? Britney bloody Spears. Apologies for the bad language, but Britney Spears. My amazement soon turned to puzzlement as she was doing the most mental dancing on her own with no music. The room was in silence, save for low murmurings and the odd slurping gas noise from Vorderman as she tried to suck the spit back up into her mouth that had repeatedly seeped down her chin. Again, from all the work she'd had done. Shame. This is where I thought my evening in Lord Potbelly Coldan's house had peaked. Brittany, Carol and Andrea, a big wedge of cash, and the possibility of another room needing decorating, if I could be brave enough to suggest it. Probably not, so scrap that last bit. Look, it's Britney Spears. I hope she's alright. Just then at the far end of the room a door opened. The murmurs stopped and the smog lifted. Carol's spit actually dripped onto the floor, which made Andrea physically gip, you know the face. Even Brittany stopped whatever it was she was doing. In glided Joan Collins, yes you heard right, Joan Collins. No one spoke, and Joan just majestically wafted into the room. Carol and Andrea looked at each other. Brittany started dancing again, which was good, if that's what makes her happy. Who were we to judge her? What was really weird is I was stood directly in front of Joan Collins, and she just slowly came to a halt in front of me. I looked her directly in the eyes, and she looked me up and down. I said, "Hello, Miss Collins. Sorry, Mrs. Collins. Sorry, again, Joan? Can I call you Joan, Ms. Collins?" She paused. The whole room was looking at us, except Brittany. She was well in the groove now, man. Joan leant forward, her face adjacent to mine, her nose nearly touching mine, a lot like the scene in Alien with Sigourney Weaver and the Xenomorph, only it was Carol at the back with slime running out of her mouth. Joan took a long breath in, drying her teeth that were now fully showing. "No," Joan said. Looked me up and down again and floated off to the right side towards the bigger tatty room. I looked round at everyone, total silence. Carol leaned to Anthea, turning her back to me. Brittany picked up a coat and a camcorder on a tripod that I hadn't noticed before, and then she just scuttled out of the room. Finally, I breathed out, got my balance, turned to look at the room and said, "Joan fucking Collins, the bitch."